You ever walk into a room and feel like the air shifts the second you step in, like you don't belong, and everybody knows it before you even open your mouth? That was me, walking onto the deck of the USS Truman. And yeah, I get it, I didn't exactly look like the guest of honor. 60-something woman, old navy cardigan, sensible shoes, holding a metal box like it was made of gold. I probably looked like I got lost on my way to the gift shop. But I knew exactly where I was. See, I'd received this invitation handwritten, no return address, sealed with the Navy crest, and something about it told me I was meant to be there. The handwriting, it matched someone I once served with, someone who didn't make it home. So yeah, maybe it was strange. But it felt right. Not that it mattered to the young guy who intercepted me before I made it 10 feet onto the deck. He had the kind of face you see in recruitment posters: squared jaw, perfect hair, just enough medals to make you think he earned them all in 6 months. His name tag read Whitaker, and he had this smug energy that made you instantly want to sit down just so you didn't have to stand near him. He took one look at me and said, "Ma'am, this event is by invitation only." I held up the envelope, smiled politely, said, "I believe this qualifies." He didn't even glance at it. Instead, he turned to his camera because, of course, he was live streaming, and said, "Folks, it seems we've got an unexpected guest here today. Claims to be part of the USS Truman's legacy." Then he turned back to me and said, loud enough for the mic to pick it up, "What was your role on board, ma'am?" "Chief of snacks." I didn't say anything. I just looked at the model of the ship next to us and pointed out that they'd gotten the commissioning date wrong. It was listed as March, it should have been May. I knew, because I was there. He laughed. "Oh, you were there. What, in spirit?" The comments on the stream started rolling in. "Who let Grandma out of the home? Stolen valor alert. Is this a prank or performance art?" He kept pushing. Said I was impersonating a vet. Said they could have me arrested. And I said one thing, just one. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "That's it." He smirked and said, "Absolutely." So they cuffed me. On a deck I once commanded. And they led me away, still live on camera, still cracking jokes, still basking in the applause of the internet. And you know what? I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just held onto that box tighter, the one filled with letters, medals, and memories I still haven't unpacked fully. Because that box is the reason I came. Now let me back up a sec. In 1998, I was executive officer on this very ship. We took fire off the coast of Bahrain. An engine room caught fire, took 11 minutes to fill with smoke, 18 to hit the ammo stores. I went back in 3 times, pulled out 6 people, lost 2. My lungs never fully recovered, and the nightmares never really stopped. But I don't tell that part. Never saw the point. After I left the service, I didn't want recognition. I wanted quiet. So I stepped back. Built a life, ran a small business, stayed out of the way. But when that invitation came, that handwriting, I knew it was time to come back, just once, just for this. Anyway, just when I thought that was the end of it, someone else was watching that stream. Someone who did remember me. Rear Admiral Isaac Monroe, my former CO, was watching from his home in Norfolk. He called his driver before the video even ended, stormed into that event an hour later, and demanded they uncuff me. And man, when Monroe raises his voice, the Atlantic shakes. He walked onto that deck like the ghost of God himself, glared at Whitaker, and said, "Do you have any idea who this is?" Whitaker started mumbling something about protocol and security, trying to dig himself out of the grave he'd live-streamed in front of 300,000 people. Monroe shut him down with one line, "That woman saved your job before you were old enough to spell Navy." Then he turned to me, held out his hand, and said, "Welcome home, Commander James. And just like that silence, people started whispering. Then Googling. Then staring. I didn't say much. Didn't need to. Monroe told the story for me, every detail. The fire. The rescue. The Navy Cross. The silence after. Whitaker turned pale. The internet turned brutal. That stream the one meant to humiliate me ended up humiliating him. Within 2 days, he was suspended. Within 2 weeks, he was gone. Dishonorably. He tried to apologize, sent a letter, said he was ashamed, asked if I'd meet him for coffee to talk it through. I never responded. Not out of spite. But because sometimes silence is the answer. Instead, I took the attention and did something with it. Started a foundation, real small at first, for veterans who felt invisible. Especially women. No press releases. No gala dinners. Just real help. One of the first people who reached out, a young sailor named Tasha, said she almost left the Navy after watching how I was treated until she saw how I responded. She stayed. Said if I could take it on the chin and keep walking, so could she. And that was worth everything. The Truman invited me back later that year. This time with a proper ceremony. They opened a library room in my name, filled it with leadership books, naval journals, and a copy of that very invitation I'd carried in. The box sits in there now too. Locked behind glass. It doesn't look like much, worn edges, dented corners, but it holds more truth than most museums. The plaque beneath it reads, "She didn't ask for a podium. She didn't ask to be remembered. She came back anyway." And I think about that moment sometimes, standing on that deck again, this time without cuffs, surrounded by silence that felt like respect and not suspicion. So yeah, maybe next time someone walks into a room and they don't fit the picture you had in your head, maybe pause a second before you judge. Maybe ask what they've seen instead of where they bought their shoes. Because heroes don't always look the way you expect. Sometimes they just show up tired, quiet, and carrying a box full of ghosts. And now I want to hear from you. What does justice look like when it's quiet? Have you ever seen someone misjudged just for how they looked, or been that person yourself? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because maybe it's time we rewrote the way we define respect. And maybe, just maybe, we stop confusing uniforms with character.